First of all, introduce yourself. Please tell me about who you are, your career.
Yeah, my name's Emil Nava. I make music videos mainly. Well, music videos been what I love for many, many years. I also do commercials and documentaries and short films. And yeah, I just made my first feature film, Snorkeling.
Oh my goodness. I had the absolute pleasure of watching Snorkeling and I thought it was a beautiful film. How did the idea come to you? Where was this script when it landed in your lap? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was funnily enough, it was actually a short story on Reddit that went super viral. It was like um it was a story about this drug and these kids would take it and they would snorkel and it was like they would have these kind of out of body experiences and um yeah, basically it went viral and then the studios kind of all picked it up and then the writer turned it into a script. And then I got a call one day from one of my friends who is a producer who was like, I got this film for you and I just think it's perfect. And yeah, it was, it was just, I guess they say that things come to you at like the right point in your life, right? And I've been looking for films for many years, but nothing had quite resonated with me in the way that like I'd actually at the time I'd recently got sober and it came to me around that time and I guess I've had my own battles with drugs and addiction and alcohol and all these things and mental health and my dad had bipolar when I was growing up and yeah all these kind of things just came up when I received the script so it was kind of instant that it felt right.
Art is very cathartic. So I think it's beautiful that you've actually channeled all of these like painful kind of memories throughout your life into a film. I think it's a great way, at least this is my interpretation of it. You could tell me if I'm wrong or not. But you are taking these chances that are pretty big swings. Like this is your first feature film, correct?
Yeah, this is my first film, yeah.
I think it's a sensitive topic, this idea of wanting to escape the world. There are many times where the actors in the film or the characters, they're saying these things that are so beautiful and so meaningful and so true, but you don't even find them on TV shows or movies nowadays. And you've taken this chance to kind of like channel and directly speak to the audience through snorkeling. So I thought that was wonderful.
Appreciate you saying that because I think that, you'll notice in the film, and I think people will notice when they see it, but we kind of dip between kind of fictional storytelling around love and connection and loneliness. And we also flip between like there's real conversations within the film with the young people in the film and with the actors and all of the cast. So there is a real feeling that things that are being said in this movie are actually being said by the youth of today, which I don't see enough in film and TV. And I've always felt that like, you know, the the history of film and TV is that they write these things
Mhm,
for these characters.
mhm.
But sometimes I always question like how can we write what the youth are going through, right? Like, I don't know what it's like to be a young person growing up in the world right now. Like, so I really wanted to create a space where the characters and the people within the film could really speak their truths, and like, I hope that comes across well in the film.
It does. It does absolutely. Talk about that. I mean, it seems like this was a very kind of freeing and open film. The process of it seemed very natural. Was it completely scripted? Was there room for improv? Were the characters free to be themselves on and off set? What was that process like? Because I know you're intercutting between interviews, and it actually seems like the people who are speaking to the camera are speaking their true feelings, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was an amazing process because I'd done a lot of research about like how directors in the past or how films have been made with like a lot of improvisation and a lot of kind of, you know, mixed styles. And there were a few big things stuck out to me kind of in that research. One was that I can't remember who the quote was from, but they said that you write one movie, you shoot another, and you edit another, and they're all totally different movies. And I definitely, felt that. I knew we had this script that was amazing, and I knew that we also had this cast and this group of people that were amazing. And also in the world, when we were making the film, there was a lot of stuff going on with kind of fentanyl and addiction, and like there was a lot of big conversations going on around drug use. So I think I really wanted to create something that had a script and that was fictional, but that also touched on really real things in the world. And I also heard this thing, I think it was Michael Winterbottom said that like he would like have the actors work with the script for ages, and then he would basically on the shoot would be like, forget about it. Like I just want to now see your interpretation. So there was a few things going on in my process, but really when we got to the film, I wanted the actors to feel like they could really be free in their performances and really explore like different things. And like actually one really amazing thing that we did is Michael and Jameson, Daniel and Christine, like I basically asked them kind of not to really speak, well, not to speak or not to interact or not even to meet before this first moment that they met on screen.
Wow.
So the moment when they meet by the river is actually the first time that they've spoken to each other,
Oh
like
my goodness.
throughout the whole preparation of the film. So there was these moments where like Christine Jameson in the film would be like watching, Michael and like from afar, and then would see me working with him and then be like, what's going on? And I'd be like, and then similar. So there was definitely this energy building between them that I feel really we captured when they come together, like in the actual scene when they first meet. Um, so yeah, I was really playing with the idea that there was a story and a narrative and a film that we were creating,
Mm.
but also at the same time we were weaving in real people's stories and real people's relationships with, drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
So I really want this film to kind of be a catalyst for people to, go out and want a better life, live a better
Yes.
life.
I think it does that because I you are and I'm gonna actually you brought up a couple of great points, but one of the things that I found is that a lot of these characters are dealing with the idea of burying what they truly feel. They cannot express it, either because they haven't been taught the correct way or they've been in spaces where it's a difficult home life. So they are just burying whatever they feel and then escaping to this world to try to connect with who they are, which doesn't really work out. Could you tell me a little bit about the world that you created when these characters snorkel? What was the process like with that? Did it come to you? Because it is kind of reminiscent of your past work, but it's also a completely different world.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that I've always loved creating worlds, and I've always loved creating like juxtapositions, like, light and dark, color and monotone, like I love sad to happy. Like I just love like polarizing things. Um, so for me, when we were exploring this like other world and what this other world could look like, I was so excited to realize that. And I feel that in cinema, when people kind of take mind-altering things, like, obviously there's like the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas reference where you're kind of like it's all goes wonky and stuff. So we've seen different, versions of that in cinema.
Yeah.
But for me, I guess I really wanted to feel it, like I think throughout, like David Ayer, who's the producer on the film, he said a great quote to me. He said this film should be felt, not seen. And that's, I think,
Mm.
what I was trying to do was create a film that was really, you felt it, it was not about these like obvious structural points and like a lot of these, you know, more theory-led film
Yeah.
stuff. It was about a feeling. So the other world was amazing to create, and I guess just to talk about the process even of it, we every time we went to the snorkeling world on the set, everything changed. Everything got colored pink. Every piece of furniture was changed.
Wow.
Every window covering of all the lighting, like it we turned the whole house pink, like from the wallpaper to the furniture to the carpet. Like so every time we entered this new world, um, we turned everything pink.
When the film eventually releases, which is July 25th on
Yeah.
Apple.
The
Okay.
film releases July 25th on Apple. Yeah, the pre-sale is out on the 11th of July, today for me.
Congrats. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to know when people see it, what what is your dream kind of hopefulness reaction out of all of
It's
this?
an amazing question. Years ago, I put something on my Instagram about feeling
Yes.
depressed. I remember I got all these amazing messages of people being like, I needed to hear this today, and and all these amazing messages. And I was thinking, gosh, I wish the work I made could have impact like that. Like I make a lot of music videos. I think all of my music videos combined have had like 25 billion views on YouTube
Jesus.
combined.
Oh my
And I
God.
remember thinking, like, even if a small portion of that had impact on the world, like how much impact that would have been. So I really do believe that with kind of art and creation, we do have so much impact. So being able to make art and visuals and films that impact people in a meaningful way, like they actually like, my hope for is that it changes people's lives. I know that's a big statement, but like I also have a platform called Nature Talks, which is a kind of conversation platform around creativity and mental health. And the amount of messages that we receive that like this video changed my life today, like just, really poignant messages. And I think that with this film, I would just love it to help people. I want people to feel seen. I want people to create better worlds and lives for themselves. So, and I do have big visions of it becoming viral. Like, when I think about like, viral, I know it has a certain connotation, but I guess for me, like when Blair Witch Project came out, the movie, and I remember it came out and everyone was like, is it real? Like, has this happened? Like, what is it? There were so many questions around it.
Yeah.
I really feel with snorkeling, I want that same feeling. Like everyone is saying, like,
Yes.
what is this? What is this? And kind of, and then, going out and watching it.
Emil, how do you balance your intuition versus planning when directing something this emotionally layered?
Yeah, great question. I never went to film school and I never like studied film. I came up on film sets like making tea and coffee and like, helping the grips and like I just was on set. That was my training.
Wow.
So for me, I've always had to be led by feeling. I don't really, I don't, I've never kind of told stories through theory. Like I am not the type of director that's like, well, the camera starts here and it goes there. And for me, it's all about creating a feeling. And I
Mm.
was blessed. I did a lot of stuff with Ed Sheeran and over the years, and we were always kind of making these stories that were very emotional. And yeah, so for me, it's always about feeling. And I think that like when I was looking at this story and I was thinking about love and loneliness and connection and addiction and like all these themes that I really wanted to kind of explore, I guess, in this film. So I guess whenever I got into a situation where I felt I didn't know what to do or what turn to make, I always came back to like, what am I trying to feel now? And funnily enough, there was a couple of videos just to reference like music videos I've done that I did for Ed Sheeran that I was kind of like, is this gonna land? Like, are people gonna like? We did this one about this lonely Cupid, forgive me, love, or this kind of one with Rupert Grint about this stalker, and so they all and there was a couple of times when the videos came out, and I read what people felt when they watched it, and they felt the thing that I wanted them to feel, and I always felt that was the big win. So I think with snorkeling, my real goal was to have people feel the feelings of feel the feelings of love, feel the feelings of escapism, like
Mhm.
feel the feelings of loneliness and then of connection. And like really what I want when people watch the film is that they feel what the characters are going through and they feel things in themselves, like we did a screening the other night and it was amazing to hear people come up and say what resonated with them. And it was amazing because what was resonating with everyone was their own personal experiences that were being brought up through watching the film, their own relationships with their parents, their own relationships with escapism, with childhood, with love, with first love, with loneliness. Like, and that was what was so kind of beautiful to me. And I feel like that's my hope for the film is that when people watch it, they kind of have their own personal feelings come out through watching the film.
Yes, yes. I think you've done that. I felt many things. I felt many things. One of the things that I felt actually was it kind of interestingly enough touched on climate anxiety. The idea that we're having this like end of the world feeling constantly. And I don't know if other generations have ever had this. Maybe, with previous wars and World War II and all these things where the world was kind of in battle, but we're having this real world kind of idea that things are not looking good 50 years from now, depending on how we're going. So there is this idea that snorkeling might be able to save you for a little bit and transport you to a different world. What was the development process like with creating a relationship with these characters? I know you've approached other projects where you've had to kind of maintain great relationships with artists. These characters in the film, and the people who are snorkeling, how did you interact with them? What was that like? What was the audition process like?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always been a fan of street casting, finding real people who ultimately can act and ultimately can perform and and can be. I think with actors and acting, I think of it just like me as a director. Like you wouldn't I don't think of myself as a director because I don't think of myself as a traditional director, but I feel I can tell stories that mean a lot to me. And I feel the same about the actors in the film and the and Christine, our lead actress. They are performing and they are acting and they are creating this journey, but they're also, bringing their own experiences to it. Especially some of the other cast. Some of the other cast, you know, were really influential in what we were exploring. Like there was a few cast members that have never been on camera before, and there was some who were really seasoned. And so
Mhm.
what I really wanted to do with everyone in the film is create a real kind of intimate and authentic place where they could speak their truth or they could perform or they could you know, bring what they wanted to bring to the film in an honest and safe place.
Yes.
Um, and I think really I've always wanted to do that in my career is like when I've worked with artists or actors or actresses or anyone, I want to ultimately create a great relationship between us so that we can tell these stories together and we can bring our thoughts and feelings to the final piece.
Mm.
So yeah, for me it was really important to find amazing people that I connected with, that I felt the world could connect with, and really create an environment where we could be experimental and try things. And, you know, I think was I think it was Kylie Minogue who once said, try yeah, try 100 things and 99 won't work and one will be iconic. And I really that resonated with me so much. I think when we're making films and music videos and visuals and stuff, it's like you got to be prepared to like throw it all on the table,
Oh, yeah.
and just get it all out. And then and then I can edit it for for years.
You
Yeah.
you have your heart and soul in it, and I think it's so hard nowadays to get anything out with art, commercial art especially. So there's so much blood, sweat, and tears I can see in this film, and I think I mean, do you feel that way, or do you like, oh, this was just a one-off. It was just another day.
Oh no, this film feels like somewhat like my life's work. I keep joking about because it's taken years and years to make. And people have said to me like movies are hard to make. Actually making this movie was incredibly hard. It was incredibly hard, but actually getting it to the world has been so much harder. Like no one ever tells you how hard it is, like we edited this film for so long, and then we were blessed to have David Ayer, who is an amazing, writer director who
Yeah.
I've looked up to my whole career. He came on as an executive producer, and he brought a load of his team onto it, and we worked on it much longer. So we worked on it together for ages, and we did this beautiful composition, and we did a re-edit and more VFX. So it's been this amazing, like, yeah, basically finishing the film was. so hard and emotionally draining and felt like very lonely at a lot of points, even though there was so many amazing people around it. There's something about kind of feeling very alone and judged and nervous and all these things. So you're trying to kind of, sometimes feels like you're carrying this like huge rock up a mountain and you're trying to figure out like, will we ever get to the top? Um, and even I mean, the amount of times I was like, is this even going to get out? Like it just felt, you know, and I guess the big thing I learned is like, if you don't give up on something, like it will happen.
You and your brother are also very successful. You make good art. And yet we also hear from you that it was incredibly hard to kind of release this film. You have big names as producers as well. You have Brian Kavanaugh Jones as well as a
Mm.
producer.
Uh,
Those people, can you tell me a little bit about like what were who were these people that came into your life to kind of help make snorkeling happen? Did you
Yeah,
have a group in the beginning? David
yeah, no,
came a little bit later.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I was blessed to have an amazing team on this, Brian Kavanaugh Jones, I've known for years. We've developed a few movies together, but this was the one that kind of landed, and he was so helpful because he's obviously got so much experience, um, been involved in some amazing and big films. Mark Gillespie, he is an amazing person. He's like one of my best friends. He also manages some of the biggest music stars in the world and also produces some amazing movies. He just had some great success. He was one of the team on The Brutalist.
Oh,
Um, and he has been incredibly, he has stuck with me for, you know, the entirety. And he's been such a huge part and is such a huge part, going forward. And then we've had amazing different voices throughout the whole process. People have come in like Pete Tong, David Ayer. Um, there was the amazing team on the ground when we shot it, like Chris Ferguson, who's also gone on. He just did the movie Long Legs.
oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah. There's been I think the whole process has had so much love throughout it from different people.
Mhm.
And one thing that's been amazing is because it has been such a long process, like it has just taken years to make this film, that there's been different people's love at different points. So it's like it's when it's like fading, it like gets a new bit of love and a new bit of love. And then, and honestly, right until the end, like literally we redid all of the music,
My
you know, a
God.
year ago. We probably redone the music in the film three times.
Oh my
Um,
God.
Not the score, but the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you working to silence or are you working with temp music? What's that like? I mean, especially for you who's coming from a musical background, do you have a soundtrack in mind?
yeah, it's a great question. Music was what was and is such a huge part of this film and my life. And I had this like playlist while I was like preparing it and, like all the months up to listening to all these different types of sounds and everything from classical to dance to who you name it to soul. And then on the shoot, we had lots of music. It was like I would be playing the actors' music in their headphones, like to try and give them the feelings that were going to go into that scene. I would play music on set. Then I was editing with other music, like different feelings. Sometimes on set, I would listen to a song and then like go into the scene. Then uh, through the whole editing process, and then actually right at the end, I think because I was thinking about artists I loved and and people I wanted in the soundtrack, I was thinking about that a lot. And then right at the end, we had this kind of moment where we were like, let's choose music that like fits every scene, that's needed in that scene. And that was a big realization um for us. And yeah, it kind of again, it was like that moment where that love had to happen then, you know?
Yes.
And actually, the most amazing moment we had recently with it is we did which is something you would think was not that big, but we did the sound mix. And I thought, like, yeah, we're going to do the sound mix. The sound mix is going to be what the sound mix is. But actually, the way it brings a film together is so beautiful. Like, I think that happened to me so much along the road of making this film. Like, I learned so much. Like, I've made 150 music videos and probably who knows how many commercials. I've been on set more in my life than I have been offset, I would say. In some ways I've been on set so much, and the amount I learned on the film, because yeah, it's just every single corner is something that you're like, wow, I didn't know that. So, yeah, for many years growing up, I didn't feel like I could see myself in movies. I couldn't see myself in any cinema or TV show. I just felt none of these people were me, you know? And even in my early 20s when I was first making music videos, and I would think like, if I was watching this, what would I want to see, you know? And I
Yes.
think that that's what I would love always to give to the audience, you know? I think that the big thing I feel about snorkeling is it is for the youth, you know, and it is really is for them, you know, like it's not for the film critics, and it's not for the industry, and it's not for, you know, it's for the audience, you know,
Yes.
it's for the people. Like, I really do believe that. And I want it to be that. And I want it to find its community, and I want it to find its audience, and I want it to find these pockets of people, and I want it to spread like wildfire. Like, that's my dream for it.
Yes, yes, yes. And you have two amazing leads.
And I'll just talk about Christine quickly.
Yes.
Christine is not only an amazing actress, but she is also a huge mental health advocate, and she uses her very powerful voice and following to talk about these things. And she has used her voice in this film like I could never have imagined or hoped for. She speaks a lot from her own truth within this film, and she puts herself out there in such a unique and vulnerable and daring way that I am so kind of blown away by and impressed with. And I'm so excited for, what she's going to do in the future. Um, Daniel, I love Daniel. Like, he is one of my family. He brought so much to this film. Like, like Christine, was an open book, and he tried everything. He gave everything. He lent into every scene, every emotion with such a kind of like fearless, experimental, like exploration that just was so special. And I think with both of them, they are going to be huge. They're going to be stars. And I always have loved watching films, and then, you can see like, wow, I remember seeing, I remember seeing DiCaprio. I remember seeing Leonardo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape,
Yes.
and was just blown away, and I remember thinking, wow, he's going to be huge. And then the next thing, he's in Titanic. No, no,
You have
Daniel.
you have you have the sense, you have the intuition.
Yeah, I mean, what I do hope and feel that I do know is like when I see a star, when I see magic, I can see, I feel I've seen like Ed Sheeran. I did his very first video, and I remember being like, wow. And I worked with I did Dua Lipa's first video. Um, yeah, I've seen
Yes.
people beginning of their careers, and like, you can see magic. I don't think I'm unique. I think that, like, when there's magic in someone, it comes out. And
Yeah.
that's why That's why the world sees it. That's why we and the world all see it.
Yeah, there's definitely a star power element that they both have. There isn't this sense that that this world is too far off from ours. So I think that this is what the ultimate magic is this world of snorkeling is could be just the next town over, which is
Mm.
so incredible.
Well, that was the real, you know, goal for the film, really, is like I really believe that when you're making a film about the youth,
Mhm.
you have to let them guide it a bit. You have to be able to give space for realism and you have to create a world that feels like it's theirs. Like I didn't want to create a world that felt like we were faking it. I wanted to create a world that felt, some of my favorite TV shows and films that I watch, I feel are just about a group of people or one person or two people that I just love and that I want to follow and I want to go on whatever journey they go on, and I feel like with this, like I personally just love, Jameson and Michael, and I just want to go with them anywhere, I would go with them anywhere. And so I feel like you get to do that in this film.
Yes, yes. Speaking about that, because it seems like you are a cinephile, I would love to hear about the inspirations. Where did you find, you're very in touch with the idea of wanting this to be a youth-centered film. There is this feeling that it's very natural. Were you ever consulting, or did you make the actors watch a specific film, or were you, introducing them to a different side and trying to get them into, or was it just completely natural? You just had conversations.
No, it's a great question. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, um, I mean, I love the work of Andrea Arnold, who did like Fish Tank and American Honey. I think that that style of like realism mixed with fiction is like beautiful. I think the work of like Chloe Zhao, like her first film, The Rider, I think is like spectacular. Like
Yeah.
all those real people, but they're creating this kind of story of this man's real life. Um, I love like the Florida Project,
Sean
I
Baker, yeah.
love Sean Baker's work. Yeah. And, these are some of the more recent, but like, Harmony Korine, I love him, his stuff. And, when I think about movies like Kids, it was very dark, but it was very real. And um, Requiem for a Dream, it was a big moment for me. Cinema, Fight Club. I mean, these are all amazing references.
These all yeah, these all capture a moment in time. When you named each film, I specifically almost remember the year that they're kind of like capturing, which I think is kind of the success that you're gonna have with snorkeling because it just feels exactly like the present time right now. I mean, this is the 2020s. We have kind of created a world for ourselves where we have isolated ourselves in a sense, Not only did we have COVID, but we had this telephone that and TikTok, which takes up all of our time and all of our energy and all of our attention. And you can kind of see that in the world of snorkeling. There is this like siren-like esque quality about a specific thing that can promise you to take you to a different world. When in reality, the ultimate success and happiness of life is kind of confronting where you are and how to make your true happiness live in the present, in the moment, and not this artificial reality, which we see.
Yeah, it's an amazing point. And someone else pointed that out actually at the screening that they said that, escapism is a huge part of this film, and was for me, as like my father once said to me, like, why are you always trying to escape? And it really stuck with me. And I think that these kids in this film are trying to ultimately escape, And what is interesting is we explore in the film that when they escape, even though they are together, they actually escape as individuals. And I
Yes.
think that someone pointed out that it's a very similar relationship we have with our phones, you know, like we can be together in the room with someone, but completely,
Yes.
you know, within our phone. And I think that, yeah, for me, the idea of escapism, we wanted to explore heavily within this film. But I think that you can relate that to other things, right?
Yeah.
Like I even say that since I got sober and have tried, you know, I find myself getting more obsessive and trying to escape in other ways, like whether it's cold plunging or saunas or I'm like kind of I still want to escape, you know, but with that healthy escapism.
Definitely, definitely. I think yes. The LA crowd will love that. The cold plunge as an escape. This is so true. Yes, it is. It is. These it I think our youth is very resilient and very smart and very intelligent, and they have so much going for them. But I think the intrigue of of another world, especially one that kind of numbs your senses and your emotions and who you are and creates this person who's like a shell of you is still present today. And maybe it's reaching its climax and its peak at the moment because there has never been a time where there's so much temptation on the rise. I mean, fentanyl is something that is constantly in the news. It's something that is always, having a threat towards the youth. So,
One thing that was incredibly kind of painful along the journey of snorkeling was being close to a lot of young people and hearing about the fentanyl problem, you know, like that was it. As we were making the film, it was becoming worse and worse. And a lot of the young people in the film that I was speaking to were losing friends, like literally as we were making the film.
oh my goodness.
And I think it really kind of, I guess for me anyway, it added a lot of pressure in wanting to deliver a film that felt poignant and powerful and that like, you know, I guess confronted how serious this is as well, you know? So yeah, it was it pushed me harder to make something more powerful, I guess.
As if you needed that. As if you need, as if the pressure wasn't enough. It was just this
I,
another layer.
I just yeah, I like to add a lot of pressure. I like to double down on. I think because I think I mentioned it earlier because I operate so much on feeling, and I'm constantly searching for my own feeling of like why I'm making something. Like I find it very difficult when I'm making something that I don't feel for or don't care for. I almost like can't make it. So I think making this film, I was constantly searching for things to feel and then how to put it like in the screen and give it to the viewers.
That's beautiful. I think that that kind of eloquently wraps up the idea of snorkeling. I think that you've done an excellent job. And thank you for sharing your art with the world, Emil.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been, I'm very nervous, but it's time the world has it.
Oh yeah. Your baby's gonna go out into the world and so many people are gonna see it and your Instagram DMs are open, right? So people can message
Yeah.
you and tell you how much the movie meant to them and yes, hopefully it's gonna be the beginning of a beautiful feature film career for you. Maybe is this something that you would like?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have the next project in mind?
I like when I first started music videos, I always used to love making like a no budget video and like a
Yeah.
massive budget video because I felt like the big budget video, it comes with certain layers. It is what they're beasts, you know. But there's something about a low budget music video where you get to go and you get to like really go and create and there's small crew and there's an intimacy and it's like a bit more raw and run and gun.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
problem solving.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it just feels a little more like you're in the unknown.
Yes. So you
Um,
prefer you would you consider snorkeling like an indie filmmaking experience?
Definitely, yeah, 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 for sure. And for many years, I was offered bigger commercial movies, but I just felt it was like it didn't feel like the right time. And so I think with movies, I always want to, I would love to do like a big budget one and like a really small one, and like, get that balance right throughout my career, you know? So I don't know whether the next one is a small one or a big one, but there is a small one and a big one being planned. So I guess it's just like which one the universe decides is going to happen first is where we go.
Oh, well, if they have you involved, I'm sure that it's going to be beautiful no matter what. And your talent has shown through, and I'm so happy for you and putting this together. And I can't wait for the world to see it. So again, Snorkeling comes out July 25th on Apple. The pre-sale is already begun. So please buy, rent, do anything you can to go see this film because it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much for this support. I appreciate it. And yeah, go cop the film, tell your friends, get it out there. I'm so excited for people to see it.
Wonderful.